Ladies and gentlemen, we have yet another remaster to cover, this time Deus Ex, or I'm going to call it Deus Ex because I don't know how to pronounce the darn game, but it's coming out 6th of February 2026. It will be 40 Australian. If you pre-order now on Steam, you get a 10% discount. It is coming out to the PlayStation 5, Steam, both of the Xboxes, and Switch, although it won't be available on Switch day one, it will come out at a later date. I think this remastered actually looks pretty good, and before we get into it, I do want to say thank you to the many new subscribers that have joined my community after yesterday's video, Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered. A lot of you are very excited for that game. We're already up to 6,000 views, so thank you very much. So let's talk about, and yes, I'm going to keep saying the name wrong, Deus Ex, DSX, Deus Ex, Deus Ex, it's a bottle of juice, let's get to it. Now, like always, I have the comparisons for you lovely SMEXY ladies and gentlemen. I'll have a picture of the old game that came out in the year 2000 on the left, and on the right, I will have the remastered version. We will analyze and have a look at all the visual improvements, at all the graphical improvements, at all the effects. And also, before we get into that, which will be fun side by side, but let me first verbally confirm some of the features that the developers have actually confirmed themselves. So what I'm about to say isn't theories, or I'm guessing, this has been confirmed. So, rebuilt character models, screenshots support that, lip synced dialogue, so when they talk it will match their lips actually moving, proper ragdoll physics. You may remember enemies falling down and so forth in the old, which is true, but they weren't ragdoll physics, they were pre-scripted animations. Continuing, reimagined lighting, dynamic shadows. Very excited for dynamic shadows. Whenever any remastered games come out, dynamic shadows being added adds a lot to the game, and I will explain further later. We have water physics, proper water physics, particle effects, and fully updated textures. So on paper it sounds good, but let's have a look at the reality of things. The crowbar. Half-Life popularized, that's something stupid. So on the left we have the 2000 game, and on the right we have the remastered version. Now, as you can see, it looks pretty similar, the actual shape, but of course lighting, texturing looks completely different. You can tell on the right that it actually looks metallic, it actually looks a little bit metal. It looks like some actual reflections are happening, and the hand holding the crowbar is being affected by light. When you look to the left, it's quite clear that everything is just a painted texture around things, which is absolutely fine, but obviously looking left to right, crowbar looks different, crowbar looks better. Where things stand out a bit more obviously is the next picture, is the side by side of the guy you control, his face. On the left you have the old, and on the right you have the new. Now what is good here is they've obviously made a big attempt to keep things original, to keep things the same, and what the remastered version is doing is it's given us a more developed vision of what they had in their mind in the first place. So they're not trying to change anything. The shades are exactly the same, the eyebrows are the same, the hairstyle is the same, the jacket and turtleneck is the same. They're not trying to change things, they're trying to make it clearer and stand out. Whereas on the left, most of that is just a painted texture. On the right, you actually have additional geometry, which in the description I read a moment ago, the devs did confirm that they remodeled all of the characters, all of the enemies. So you're not simply getting an improved texture, the 3D model that makes up the geometry underneath has been rebuilt while trying to not look too different from the original source. Now this next picture actually says a lot, so I couldn't get the comparisons that they're holding the exact same weapon. Basically 2 stealth takedowns and being done to the exact same type of enemy. So there's a lot that we can compare here, and so we can see when you look left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, you can see that there is a lot of improvement. See, this is a good way to do a remaster where at a distance you almost think that nothing has actually been changed because the hand fits in the glove so well. But when you put them side by side like this, you're like, oh, okay, actually there has been a lot of improvements. We had this exact same phenomenon happen when we've looked at previous remastered games together, where originally the trailer looked like, I'm not sure anything's really been changed, but you put them side by side, and what always happens is in our memories, we always think something visually looked better than what it actually was. So starting with the guard here, you can see the actual design's the same, like where the belt is, his body armor, the things around his legs, his boots, his helmet. Everything is the same. They haven't taken creative liberty to change him for no reason. They've literally kept the old design, but they've remodeled everything. They've retextured everything. They've changed the lighting for everything. So then it really pops out, yet feels quite familiar at the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, we should be about the halfway point of the video, and as I always do, although I forgot to do it last video, thank you to my channel's members. Because of you, you keep the lights on, you help me out a lot. It may seem like you're not doing that much on your end, but to me, honestly, it means a lot to be able to get that little bit of extra income, just to let me put even more time into the channel and worry less about the algorithm. Anyways, thank you. That's it. Let's continue. I feel this next screenshot actually does a really good job of letting you know that things have really been improved. Like on the left side, it looks like a PlayStation 1 game, and then you look to the right and it looks like the PlayStation 2 port of that previous PS1 game, and they just improved the graphics along the way. Now this next screenshot, this excites me quite a lot. This excites me in exactly the same way that Soul Reaver Remastered 1 and 2 did, because this demonstrates the powerful impact that dynamic shadows has. So to the left you have one of the robots, to the right you have that exact same robot. Now firstly, just looking left, right, big difference. You look to the left, you have the old school graphics. That's fine, beautiful in its own way. But you look to the right though, and all of a sudden things are realistic. All of a sudden the machine actually looks properly mechanical, actually looks reflective, looks a lot more intimidating. And look on the floor. On the left you just have the standard circle that was below everything to give the illusion of a shadow while no actual shadow existing. Looking to the right, that is an example of the dynamic shadows which the developers did confirm now exists in the game. And dynamic shadows being put into remastered games makes a big difference. It really grounds the experience, and if you're playing the sort of game where it's a little bit dark themed, it's a little bit moody, it really does add to the atmosphere, and is just a really nice flex of being able to re-experience an old game that you used to love with such better effects. It really grounds the experience. Soul Reaver Remastered, when you toggle the old between the old graphics and the new, and you see the impact that dynamic shadows has, it's great. It's great. Okay, so what I like about this screenshot, as you can see, there isn't that much going on, and that's actually the point. So obviously the ground texture has been improved, or the textures have been improved, but there still isn't a lot going on here, and that is great, because what that is showing is showing that the developers have exercised restraint. They haven't just filled up the distance with artificial bushes and leaves and fauna just because they can. They're actually respecting the original design of, hey, this was a pretty flat area, there wasn't really that much going on. And so the same thing is happening here once again, but what you do see obviously looks better with improvements across the board. New models, new textures, new lighting, and all that. And I think that's good, because there'll be parts of the games where you run around and it's so true to the original vision that you don't even realize the many improvements around you. And I really find this picture with the black guy really interesting, because it's sort of tries to go in the middle, and I feel for the most part it does succeed. Whereas obviously on the left is the old, to the right is the new. And even though they've added things like shadows, proper 3D modeling, they're still not going that far in the future either. They're not improving it so much that it doesn't look like the guy anymore, but this is like what we maybe imagined the future looked like for these old games. Remember before you knew what the future looked like, and so you'd play games on the left and you would imagine what would the future look like, and to the right it looks like the left, but everything's just extruded outwards. I think that's great. Texture quality across the board just looks really nice. They have confirmed that this game will be launching with, improvements to UI. It will have 4K support. It will have some modern day features like auto-saving and so forth. I like this screenshot here because firstly, this would look a lot different from what the original looked like. And you can see down below that all of the men that you're fighting, all of them cast their own individual shadows which would follow their animations. So to summarize, I think this is honestly the most you can expect from a remaster, and in the best kind of way. It looks similar enough to the older game that it doesn't feel like a remake, it doesn't feel like the essence of the original has been lost, but it's still been improved so much over the original that it's worth revisiting, just so then you can still have that same gameplay loop, but experience it with just such better graphics. The side by side really does pop out. I hope this game comes with the ability to toggle between the old and the new. I think that feature is always very SMEXY, it's always very helpful. But looking at this, I love this because you can tell they're being respectful to the fans. They haven't changed anything about the main guy, but instead of everything being just painted on him, as was the style at the time due to strength restraints and so forth, to the right, they've remodeled everything. That jacket has been modeled, the undercoating has been modeled, the character, but they haven't tried to modernize it. They haven't tried to change it for the sake of changing it. They haven't tried to make it appealing to the non-existent modern audience. It's just the same game that you knew and loved, looking better, with dynamic shadows, with lip syncing, with ragdoll physics, with all that other SMEXY stuff. I think this is a win. And let me know what you think about the price. I think the price is, I would have preferred it if it was slightly cheaper. Just slightly, like instead of 40 Australian, I think 30, it would have just, sold gangbusters. Anyways, with that being said, God bless you all, take care, and I'll see you all for the next video. You take care. Alright, bye bye.